Hello there. Welcome back to the Senate Podcast. We're on episode number 22, I believe, because the last few episodes we did a little out of order. We had a live episode and then a fun episode about the PlayStation Showcase with our friend Dev. But today joining me is the Last Ronin. Who is it? Who is he? The Last Ronin we don't know, but the man joining me is Tony Quinn. And how are you doing? We're going to get into some of your recent adventures later in the show, but as of right now, how you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good, as Rascal Flatts once said, life is a highway, and I'm just trying not to break down.
That was poetry.
I don't think that's exactly the lyric, but you know what I mean.
Straight up poetry. That was beautiful. And you know something else beautiful? The Spider-Verse movie.
I'm seeing it tomorrow.
Okay. Well, we're not going to talk about the movie itself. I just want to talk about how amazing it was, and that now after it came out, everybody is going crazy, and the studio even announced, like Sony announced, that they're doing a live action Miles Morales movie, which we all knew was coming because of how successful the Spider-Verse movies are. So this is a packed episode we have, and I'm excited. So let's just keep going with this. Live action Miles. We both have thoughts on it. I'll give a little bit of my thoughts while you can kind of gather yours together. Live action Miles. I don't know how they're going to pull off a movie like Into the Spider-Verse in a live action sense. It is going to have to be some mixture. That's all I can think of, because you are never going to be able to capture the style and fluidity and art and, everything that the Spider-Verse movies offer because of its animation in a live action sense. It's just not, you can't translate that one-to-one. But I do think, a live action Miles Morales movie could be really cool because it's going to be different. It's not going to be more of the same, because we're getting 3 Spider-Verse movies, We got the first one, then we got Across the Spider-Verse, and then Beyond the Spider-Verse next year. So when you hear live action Miles Morales movie, were you excited, or were you like, oh no, they're going to ruin it?
See, it's a little tricky because, I haven't extensively looked into this myself, but there was that whole
just a thought
thing that happened about, I think a year ago, where Marvel lost the rights to Spider-Man. There was that whole fiasco. Fans were like, "Oh my god, this is terrible." I mean, there were some varying opinions, but generally it was kind of seen as a negative thing. And then they renegotiated apparently because Tom Holland actually said that he called Kevin Feige when he was drunk and was like, please don't stop making the, or something like that. And then they renegotiated. But it's I've heard the argument that No Way Home and how it ended and everything was kind of made. That was a creative choice, him being separated from the rest of the MCU characters, so that Sony could, just quietly take him back, and make do their thing. So I'm wondering, is it gonna be, because if that's the case and they're following, with the Tom Holland Spider-Man, then it'd be pretty dumb to kill him now. Like that, he's young. He still has a lot of years left ahead of him. But I'm thinking it'll probably be more like what they're doing with the villain movies, which we could do a whole episode about, because what the hell. But
I'm worried because
I'm thinking it'll probably be like a standalone where they say that a Spider-Man who is Peter Parker died, but it's not explicit
it doesn't say who, but
you know what I mean?
Yeah, if Sony's doing this, see, that's
where this, just in terms of it name drops Bruce, but he's not actually there.
That would be the worst thing for this, because that is so like what am I trying to say? That is so just sloppy, and that just it's like, do you even care what you're making at this point? You're just doing it for money. You're just putting it out because you know it's the name. The name recognition is going to bring in money. So the with the love and care they're putting into the Spider-Verse movies, I just if they do that with the live action, I think it'll be fine. And it's Sony, so they could this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that they make either Toby or Andrew the Peter that dies. You know what I mean? For Miles. And then
Yeah, I think it should be Toby personally,
yeah, I
because he seems, like I feel like Andrew, because in No Way Home he was saying, which I want to see them make a movie out of this period of his life when he was talking about how when he lost Gwen, like he got like really rageful and like really violent for a period
yeah.
of time. So I feel like if they'd make more movies with him by some miracle, please Sony let that happen. It would be like him kind of finding a new lease on life, and maybe he can meet Mary Jane, now that he's older and he's at a better place in his life, and it could be more like classic Spider-Man kind of.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Toby, his Peter seems at the best place in his life. Like he's still kind of having relationship issues with Mary Jane, as you would, but it seems like like they're
He's the only
finally
one that's able
together,
to
they're making
mentor.
it work. He has
Yeah.
peace. He seemed like essentially like a father figure to the other two in a way. So I feel like that would make the most sense. And then, for because you think about like all the people that grew up with those movies, like seeing him die and leave a legacy to Miles would be the most emotionally impactful thing they could do. Whereas if it was Andrew or even Tom, they could still make it emotional, but I think people would be like, okay, but why are they already dead? Like that's stupid. So
And
it's really tricky.
yeah, and one thing they do it's a Spider-Verse. They go through different universes like in Multiverse of Madness or No Way Home. So this could just take place in its own universe, not connected to anything. But Miles is so like synonymous with the Spider-Verse at this point that you can't you can't just have this take place in a random world not connected to anything.
Yeah.
You're going to see crossover. So I think that's where it's fun and we can get into like the theorizing and all of that, which we could do a whole episode on this. So
I think I'd imagine, because I've been seeing on Twitter, Shamik Moore wants to
yes,
play
that's
live
why I wanted
action
to bring this
Miles.
up. What do you think?
I mean, he's been in live action stuff before. I haven't seen. He was in Dope, the Rick Famuyiwa movie. I haven't seen that, but I hear that was great, and he was great in it. So I think what they could do to avoid some of these complications is to just have it be like a adult Miles.
Yeah,
And so it's like if they do his own universe, it doesn't feel redundant of, Spider-Verse with young Miles. It could just be like, like maybe he would be working with like some other spider person or hero or something, and like they would have a conversation, and then he would, like mention like his mentor Peter or something, so that way it's like, okay, Peter was here, he knew Miles, they had a relationship, he died, but we don't have to show any of that. We don't have to get involved in the red tape of that and how muddy that can be, in terms
yeah.
of like which one. It would be cleaner that way, in my opinion, but I mean, I'm not a professional screenwriter, obviously, so
There's so many possibilities, and it's fun because we're getting a lot of interpretations. Like Spider-Man 2, I can't wait because we're gonna see Miles go up against Venom, and you know
it's not Eddie Brock.
that's not
They
Eddie Brock.
they
It's
might
gonna
be
be interesting.
trolling. I don't know. Because we when Arkham Knight came out, they
Yeah,
Rocksteady was like, "Oh no, the Arkham Knight's not a character we've seen. He's a original villain," and they were lying.
I hated that.
So
I hated that. So here's the thing with this. I got mad because they showed the collector's edition, and it showed there's a statue you can get of Venom fighting both Peter and Miles at the same time, and it actually shows how Venom's going to look on his own. So if you don't want to see it, don't look it up. I got mad
I
because I was
was that the piece of art that they showed
yes.
in the games. Oh yeah.
So if you
I
look at
I feel like part of the reason they showed that is just to squash those that
maybe
speculation that Venom's Peter. Because like, oh no, Peter is here, as his own person, so he can't be Venom. Stop saying that.
yeah, um, so that's going to be cool to see Miles fighting against that, and there's a release date for that now.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, October 20th, I think. They just announced it at
It's crazy because at the Sony
Games Fest.
showcase, I swore they said it was releasing in August, right? Or no, fall. Yeah.
A lot of people were theorizing September. I don't know if it was ever said to
No,
be
I'm pretty sure
September,
they
but
said fall actually. So yeah, they
yeah, it's always been fall. It's October 20th, which I think is a great date for that. That's perfect. Um, that was announced at Summer's Game Fest. I'm surprised they left that out of the PlayStation showcase last week. I was at least expecting the release date to show up, and we didn't get that. But you know what we got out of the PlayStation showcase? We got a lot, and we talked about almost everything. But one thing we forgot is a little device called Project Q or Q-Lite. What do you think about this little device?
You want to know what
Tell
I
me.
think?
Yes.
Now, do you want? I have two perspectives. One is my actual one, and then one is kind of me playing devil's advocate a little bit.
Give me your actual one and then the
Okay.
devil's advocate.
So my actual one is that this is probably one of the dumbest things ever created, because like what's cool about the Nintendo Switch is
Yeah.
that you can
It's native.
take it places and it's a console. It's a whole ass console. You can
Yeah.
take this console, like it's handheld, but it's also a console.
Yeah.
You know what the Project Q is only good for is streaming. So you can play your PS5, but only over Wi-Fi.
So,
And it's
okay.
like, why? What's the point? Like I have to be in my house just to play my PS5 on a smaller screen when I can just walk 3 feet to my room or wherever I have my TV and just play it on there.
I'm glad you have a sane mind, a sane and sound mind.
I
So
try.
before you give me your other devil's advocate take, let me explain something to you, okay? You see this right here? This is my phone. I use the PlayStation Remote Play probably
Yeah.
more than 90% of PlayStation users because I have the PlayStation licensed Backbone controller. It's upstairs in my room. If I had it, I would show you. I do this. I use it because if for some reason I can't get on my PlayStation, but I can, I have the time to play, but I can't just get on my TV, my PlayStation. I can put the Backbone on my phone and use Remote Play and do this over Wi-Fi. That's the
Dude, you know what?
that's
That
the
actually
catch.
kind of looks cool. I'm not even gonna lie.
Okay. Okay. The Backbone, it is awesome because you can use it as a controller on your phone for Apple Arcade games, for xCloud gaming, which xCloud service is fantastic. Way better than PlayStation Remote Play. The PlayStation Remote Play service is garbage. Even it's meant to be used over Wi-Fi, but I use it over Wi-Fi and it still disconnects. It
Okay.
disconnects before I'm even in the game. I'm on the cross media bar UI, just scrolling through and it'll disconnect. And I have great internet. So it's PlayStation services. I forget who their streaming services through right now, but it's terrible. This machine is not going to work. It's going to be garbage. The battery life is 2 hours long.
Yeah. Like, okay.
If you're playing, I think if you're playing God of War on high fidelity mode, it lasts like 60 minutes. If you're playing on performance mode, it's like 60 minutes. Fidelity mode or whatever is like, or 30 with 30 frames is like 2 hours. Same thing with Horizon. Now it's going to be more if you're playing indies, but it's streaming. You're not going to get great picture quality. You're not going to get great frame rates. There's going to be, frames that skip. There's going to be connectivity problems, and it's a DualSense on this thing. So you're going to be streaming with DualSense capabilities. The battery is going to last 2 seconds. You're going to have to charge it. What's the point of playing it if you can play it charged? Who knows? There's other machines like this, like the Steam Deck or the Asus one they just came out with. That's a lot better. I think does Google have one or not? I don't know, but you mentioned the best
I'm not
one,
sure.
the Switch. They're just trying to hop on the bandwagon because a lot of people are trying to get handhelds right now, and what they're doing is getting back into that market without having to invest a lot of money. And if I could just keep going, I was listening to a PlayStation podcast, and they were talking about the difference between a handheld with native software and games versus a handheld that just lets you access the games that you already own. There's a difference
Yeah.
between the two. So the Vita would be, okay, they have their own software and their own games hardware for this, their software and hardware for this. That's going to be a bigger investment for the company and for the consumers, a lot more money. They don't want to do that, but they still want to capitalize on this
That's so
handheld.
weird because, like,
Yeah.
one example that I'll use for this is Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, as in the
Yeah.
original
PSP.
PSP version. I've heard on a few Final Fantasy VII podcasts that I listened to that originally, like, like the team wanted to have a lot more content in the game, but because of the limits of UMD, they had to cut a lot of stuff out. So it's like, with how much technology's progressed since then, because that was like 2007. That was a pretty long time ago. With
Yeah.
how much gaming technology's come since then, you would think that, Sony would be like, zealous to make a new handheld that could do way more. I don't understand why. Like, I guarantee you, Sony can make a handheld now that,
Rivals the Steam Deck.
obviously the game, yeah, and like obviously the games wouldn't be as, high caliber as like regular PlayStation games, but imagine, like, you could probably do like a pretty decent open world RPG on a new Sony handheld. You could probably do a pretty decent, shooter, action game, whatever, that would be miles ahead of what the PSP was able to do, and even the Vita. So it's so weird to see them be like, but nah, we're not going to do that. Like, dude, people would love it. I'd buy one. Like, if I thought it looked cool and the exclusive games look cool, I'd buy it.
So here's why they're not doing it. This is why Xbox and PlayStation are not jumping in to their own handhelds like the Steam Deck or the Switch, because this Project Q doesn't count. It's streaming only. It just gives you streaming access to your library through, a screen that you could do the same thing on your phone with. But here's why they're not getting into their own proprietary handheld. Because Nintendo doesn't have to support a home console plus a handheld. They have the Switch, which is just one they have to support, sort of a mixture of both. Steam, they don't have to support their own PC or console because, think about it, they just have a platform that is Steam that works on any computer that's, you can download Steam on. They don't have their own, proprietary console hardware that they have to keep up and develop for. All they have is that digital platform plus now their handheld hardware. So Xbox and PlayStation, they have their own console that they have to develop for, hardware, software, everything, keep up with it. So PlayStation is developing for PS5. Xbox, they're developing for the Xbox Series consoles. Think about PlayStation, though. Now they have PSVR 2 because they've taken that step into the VR space. So now they're developing for a console that is a PS5 and a niche product that is a VR unit. So they would have to take so much of their money and their resources into creating a proprietary hardware that is at least capable of doing PS4 level, graphics and
Hmm.
performance and whatnot, PS4 metrics. They could make something that is as good as the Steam Deck, that's better than the Switch. Same thing with Xbox. I think Xbox could be. I think Xbox would actually benefit more than anybody for having a handheld because no one's going to jump into VR on an Xbox. Some people will, but don't go that route, and I don't think they want to. I think if anything, they might try to go the Apple route with AR or something. But if Xbox had a handheld, they could utilize the xCloud service, which is much better than the PlayStation Remote Play service and whatnot. So, anyways, that was my rant on that. Um, it's just all about the profit. It's all
Yeah.
about what they can get out of it.
I wonder if like it'd be feasible to like have like a section of the people working at Sony like kind of exclusively working on like that side of it. You know what I mean? Like, like
Yeah.
some of your people are working on, you know, PS5 stuff and then some people are working on handheld console. But I mean maybe yeah, I didn't really think about that, but maybe that would just be like not feasible in terms of,
It's not
like
feasible
profit
for,
and like
yeah.
managing time and resources.
Well, PlayStation's a lot smaller than Xbox, and they don't have as much money because obviously Xbox is backed by Microsoft. Xbox has the ability to do this with a handheld, and I'd be very excited if they got into this. So, speaking of Xbox, they got a showcase coming up. We can talk a little bit about Summer's Game Fest, but I just want to get into our Xbox showcase predictions and whatnot because I know you have a connection to one of the games that has been leaked, and I guess
Yeah.
we could start there. Xbox Showcase coming out in a few days. And the reason this is really relevant is because Persona 3 Reload, which is the remake,
And
leaked.
Persona
Same thing
5
with,
Tactics,
yes, Persona 5 Tactics. So,
which is a tactics game. That's not really my favorite genre. I played some of Triangle Strategy on Switch, but leave it to them to make a tactics game that looks awesome. You know.
I want to save my talk about Persona, but I think Persona 3 Remake is cool. I'm glad that all this is gonna be on Xbox. Who knows if it's gonna be day one exclusive or it's just a
I
timed
think
exclusive
I think they
or
might be launching with Game Pass functionality.
it's still on other platforms for full price, but then also on Game Pass.
No,
That makes sense.
I think it's going to be timed exclusive for Xbox. Maybe
I see. Okay,
I'm not sure because
it could be.
it seems like they did that partially so they could announce it at the Xbox showcase, but now people already know they exist. So I wonder
Yeah.
if they're even going to bother.
So I don't know, and we're gonna talk about Persona in a little bit. So any other predictions about the Xbox showcase?
I think we're going to get some more Starfield information.
So we are, but they announced that they're gonna have. I think it's directly after the Xbox showcase. They're gonna do a Starfield Direct or whatever it is, just
Oh,
focused on
well,
Starfield.
I got because I this is what I teased in the pre-roll, but because I was saying it's weird that Persona 5 Tactics and Persona 3 Reload are premiering on Xbox only, at least,
Yes.
for a time. Obviously, they're not going to be there permanently because Sony and Nintendo fans would hire hitmen to assassinate everyone at Microsoft. That would just
Yeah,
cause
Phil
World War III.
Spencer's head be on the line.
Yeah. But when the rumor of because a while ago, I don't remember if it was an Atlas employee leaked this like short reel of like,
Yeah.
that had like something that looked like Persona 3 remake. People on YouTube were like, is that Persona 3? What is that? That's interesting, And one of the other things that were apparently teased, Jet Set Radio, a new
That's right.
title. So
That could be at the
my
showcase.
theory
It's a good
is
one.
that Jet Set Radio is premiering at the Xbox showcase, and that's the reason the Persona games are exclusive, because who's Atlas working with to release the Persona games? Sega.
Sega.
Who helped release Jet Set Radio? Sega.
I like
It's
that.
all connected. I figured it out. I've accessed the fifth dimension. So if you want, you could
Okay.
come to my website and I could give you my class to learn how to open your third eye.
The video game industry third eye that we can see the leaks. We are
I'm
the
gonna get in
leakers.
trouble because I cracked the code. Phil Spencer's sweating right now. He's
Phil
sweating.
Spence. He's gonna pop up in the background. Um, all right, I'll keep going. I'll keep the hype going. You want to hear mine?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna announce Gears 6.
Ooh.
I think it's time because now they got Unreal Engine 5, and Gears isn't over. There's still more Gears to go. So I think now is the time for Gear 6 because if you remember in the last showcase from a year or two ago, they showed some other games that I think we're going to get updates on. So here is my second prediction. Indiana Jones and Perfect Dark updates. I don't know if it's going to be full-on trailers or announcements, like release dates, but we're going to hear again from or about the Indiana Jones game and the Perfect Dark game. Okay. Double Fine, the creators of Grim Fandango and Psychonauts. I think they're going to announce another game because it has been since 2021 since Psychonauts 2 released. So it's been 2 years. I think they could at least announce something. CG, no gameplay, or, a
Yeah.
little tease of something. I got two more. There was a
I thought of one, but I'll let you finish if you want.
Okay, there was a tease for a game I think it was a year or two ago. Fable. Fable's going to get a trailer. It's going to have hopefully an announcement for the date, but Fable's going to have a trailer.
Is
and
it
then same
Fable
thing.
4, right? Is it like a revamp of the first one?
People aren't sure. People are saying that it could be a remake or a sequel. I don't know. All I know is Fable will definitely be there. They actually teased it last week, so it's confirmed it'll be there. But
Peter Molyneux's cooking.
cooking it up. And then last one, Unavowed. That game actually looked pretty good last time they showed it. They showed like a little gameplay tease of it.
What's
so I
the game
believe
called?
Unavowed.
That's also a point and click fantasy RPG by Wadjet Studios. So that game's also called Unavowed.
Sorry. It is not. I'm literally thinking of the one you told me. It's called Avowed. Sorry. As soon as you said that, I was like, wait, I'm thinking of the one we looked up that one time on that episode.
Bringing that to Xbox? That'd be cool.
No, it's called Avowed. Well, all they ever showed was it's from Obsidian.
Is that like a fantasy
great developer.
Game? Is that a fantasy game? I might know. Yeah, that. I remember that. That looked pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, they only showed a little bit of gameplay, but it is
is it like a Skyrim type thing?
First-person RPG set in a fantasy world, and it is sort of like a Skyrim. Yeah, the gameplay looked awesome. I think we're going to get updates from it. Avowed, not Unavowed. Big difference there. Those are my predictions. I'm hoping that Gear 6 gets announced and the next Double Fine game gets announced because that's what I'm into. If anything, I'm expecting Rare to say something, whether or not their new game Everwild is canceled or they're going to continue.
That's what I was thinking because apparently it's still slated for next year. But exactly. When I looked up what's going on with it, apparently they kind of like changed the direction or something. So they're like restarted something in the development, which is why we haven't heard anything for a while. So, I mean,
exactly.
This has the potential to be like an all-timer game for me if they play their cards right. Because from what I've seen, aesthetically, this is my vibe. So if they can stick this landing, I will be very happy.
And what I will say is the PlayStation Showcase was pretty good. I give it, a B. It was good.
Yeah, it
wasn't amazing. Wasn't terrible by any means. It was good. I'm expecting more from Xbox because there was stuff we saw from them years ago that we have not had updates for. They have a lot cooking right now. A lot.
That tends to
I'm
happen
expecting a
quite a
lot
bit
from
with
them.
Microsoft for some reason. Like they announce games and then years go by and it's like, uh, sir, have you forgotten about me? Like,
Yeah, and I like Xbox a lot. Spoiler alert, I'm playing through all the Halo games, and I was up very late last night playing through Halo 5, which I really enjoy. I'm really enjoying it. So,
I kind of want to play. If there's a, is there a way to play all of the games on the modern consoles? To like,
yeah, Master Chief Collection
oh
on
yeah, yeah.
Xbox has
I
all of
kind of
them
want
up
to
to
replay the
5.
whole series because I played one with my friend like like forever ago when we were kids and shit.
Yeah.
Mainly multiplayer. He was
Yeah.
way better than me. I sucked. And then I had Halo 2 for the original Xbox before it was scratched up by my stepbrother's cousin. I hate that kid. If you're watching this podcast, go jump down a well. But I mean, I've always played it pretty casually, but I always thought, the aesthetic of Halo was cool. So that's a series that once I do get an Xbox, because I do plan on it, I'm excited for that journey.
Yeah. I have a friend who loves Halo, and I've been really wanting to go through the entire series because later we'll talk about our game backlog, and the whole Halo series have been in my backlog because I played them a little bit growing up, but I really needed to dive into them. So we've been going through over the last year. We played 1, 2, 3, ODST, 4, and now we're playing 5. We didn't do Reach, but we might do that one. So we've been having a lot of fun playing through Halo games because I really like Xbox. I want them to do good. I want to see some games. Finally, I'm not the biggest Bethesda fan. I want to see more Xbox Game Studio stuff because Bethesda just that's not my cup of tea. I'm more into the Double Fine initiative,
Yeah.
uh, all of that rare. So those are the we talked a little bit about Spider-Man Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase. Really quickly, let's talk about Sonic Superstars. That was announced at Summer Game Fest. Are you familiar with the Sonic Advance games?
I've heard of them, but I don't know
So
if I
I'll
know
explain.
exactly what
Sonic
the.
Superstars has been announced. It's a 2D game coming out. I don't know the release date. It said I think later 2023. Anyways,
You know what?
you
I
can
think I
play.
have one of these games for the Game Boy
They're so
Advance.
good.
It's not even mine. I somehow ended up with somebody's copy of it like a long
Well,
time ago.
the premise is you play as one character, but you can have a buddy with you. So if you're playing a Sonic, you can choose Tails or Knuckles to follow you, and you can use them to kind of help you out. Like if you're Sonic and you have Tails running with you, you can jump and Tails can pick you up and you can fly.
Oh,
So you can kind of play off a buddy system like that. And the game just looks awesome. It looks like you know how Mario went from obviously 2D to 3D, and then with the Wii they went to New Super Mario Bros. And it
yeah.
went back to 2D. It was a pretty good 2D Mario game. It looks like Sonic is going through that transition now. Game looks awesome. I can't wait.
Hmm.
All right, so Mortal Kombat had a trailer. I can't wait for Mortal Kombat, bro. I saw this trailer and I started playing Mortal Kombat 11 just to get prepared. So, are you a fan of Mortal Kombat?
Uh, I've probably played them like very casually over the years, but
Okay.
I think when I was a kid, I don't know how I had a copy of Mortal Kombat, maybe one or two for the Sega Genesis, and like
Yeah.
my dad would always hide it because he didn't want me playing it, and then
Fatality.
I would like try and find it, and then I'd find it again, and then he'd find out about it, and then hide it again. But yeah, I mean, I like the characters, the iconography. Like I've always thought, like Sub Zero, Scorpion were cool. Uh, Baraka, he's just a big monster dude. The 2021 movie sucks.
I completely agree with you. I think it's
Annihilation
terrible.
is one of the most baffling things I've ever seen. Um,
All right, so Mortal Kombat is super interesting. There was something special about the old games, the 2D to 3D ones. I think it changed when it hit Mortal Kombat 9, when it became more so competitive, trying to be a Street Fighter, Tekken type of game. Even though it's always been like that, there was something special about the old games where you had co-op and it had more variety in the games. You could argue the new ones are mechanically better and graphically better, but it lost something along the way when it it changed. Another game that changed drastically from the OG to the new iteration is a game called Final Fantasy VII.
oh,
We're going to talk about it in a little, for, a specific reason, but Rebirth, that was announced at Games Fest. Did it hit or did it miss? That's all I want to know.
well, briefly, I want to talk about Ever Crisis because that's kind of like the
Oh
first
yeah.
trailer came out, I think 2021, and it was built because some fans. I'm not going to say why because you haven't played remake yet, but some fans, let's just say they weren't happy with certain choices that were made. So Ever Crisis was billed as like another possibility for a remake. That was like one of the taglines, and it's like a more traditional, like still like the chibi art style, but more modern, stuff like that. I From what I know, it's the entire compilation, but it's like kind of a highlight reel. Like you like pick like certain things from like Final Fantasy VII. There's going to be Crisis Core, Advent Children, which is the movie. So I'm wondering how that's going to turn out. Dirge of Cerberus, that kind of stuff. And they're going to have new Sephiroth content taking place in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that story. This is the first mobile game I've ever wanted to play. Like I've always thought mobile games were dumb, but then they released this, and I'm like, damn it, no, come on, man. Yeah, I just want to say my quick piece on that. The trailer for Rebirth is no lie my favorite trailer for anything I've ever seen. Like
I think about that with the new
I
Mortal
freaking
Kombat trailer. I loved
screamed.
it.
I freaking
Okay.
screamed when it came on. The trailer, is leaving a lot of questions regarding something that, once again, I'm not going to spoil for you, but I can't wait to talk about
Good. Don't be.
once you
Okay.
know. But it's, it seems, the environments look big. It just looks like an upscaled version of Remake in every way. I'm curious to see what the second disc thing's all about. Like if that's more installation for assets or a certain character's story, his side of the story. If you know, you know. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
That sounds so interesting. Okay, so it hit. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm trying not to add like a lot more games to my backlog because in 2024, when I get my PS5 Pro and this game comes out, I'm taking a week off work. Nobody bother me. If you bother me, I'm going to kill you. It's just going to be me and Rebirth, baby.
Good. I hopefully want to be caught up and we can do some kind of episode about it. So, this episode is actually about our movie watch list and game backlog. We've teased it a little bit. So, I'm so excited to talk about movies and games. But you had a little experience the other week. The
Yeah.
other, what was it, last weekend?
Yeah, last Saturday.
I don't want to say anything, but go ahead. Just go off and go off. Give me the highlights.
Okay, so shameless plug. I made a YouTube video where I talk about this in detail. Obviously, for this episode, it's just going to be the abridged notes, but my YouTube username is the same as my name here, Tony Quinn, TonyQuinn.
It should all be linked
Yeah.
in the description.
So I met Xander Mobus, who is a voice actor. A lot of people would probably know him as the voice of Joker in Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal and other Persona 5 stuff. Really, chill dude. Really down to earth dude. I got him to sign my Switch copy, the case for my Switch copy of the game, and then he was like, "Yeah, you know, it's really cool on that it's on Switch now." And then he was like, "Man, back in my day, we had a Game Boy. You couldn't play Persona 5 on your Game Boy." Like, I met um Grace Van Dien, aka Chrissy from Stranger Things. I gotta contain myself a little bit because I don't want to seem weird, but I'm stump. Damn it. She told me my eyes were stunning and permanently altered my brain chemistry. And then I was like, "Oh, so are yours." And then I told her that she was beautiful because I don't know. I don't know where that confidence came from. I mean, what more? I'm gonna move on because I don't want to come across as a 12-year-old
Who
year old
else
with a
did you meet?
crush. But Steve Burton, which is the original voice actor for Cloud,
That's
Strife,
awesome.
and Kingdom Hearts 2, World of Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 7 Advent Children, Final Fantasy Dissidia, some other stuff I'm probably forgetting. He was the first dude I met. There was no line at his booth, and he took like 5 pictures with me. Like he just kept like pressing the button when we were taking our picture. It was funny. He signed my Advent Children Blu-ray. I mean, like Cloud, like right next to Peter Parker is just like that guy for me. Like
Yeah.
he's my comfort character in every way.
So you met some pretty cool video
And then
game talent.
yeah, and then last but not least,
Yo,
Sam Raimi.
yes,
I met Sam
crazy.
Raimi, got his autograph. I didn't pay to get a picture with him. I didn't buy a ticket. I don't really know why, but I got his autograph, and I got to tell him that Spider-Man 1 changed my life when I saw it as a kid. He was the first superhero I related to because he was just an unpopular kid, and Sam was also an unpopular kid. So it's cool that we have that in common, and he has that in common with Peter Parker. And then I would like say like something nice, and then like he would like reach out to shake my hand. He probably shook my hand like 3 or 4 times. He was just really grateful.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah,
I got to thank him for showing me that superhero movies can have heart and soul. And on the picture he signed, he wrote "Be a hero," and
I saw that in the picture.
that
Yeah,
just speaks so much
yeah,
with
especially
so
coming from him.
little. Yeah, so I can't believe any of this happened. It was incredible. I can't wait for 2024 Fan Expo.
That's awesome. All right, that sounds like such a good time. So take a little break, drink some water, take a deep breath.
Oh, and speaking of
Because
Sam Raimi, he's a legendary
yeah,
filmmaker who has a lot of movies that I haven't seen, which brings us to
there you go.
seminal movies and games that are well known, we know about, but we haven't experienced yet. I don't know why. Maybe we're stupid. Maybe we're lazy. Maybe we're just that pretentious. Who knows?
Wow, meeting him really gave you this boost. It's like it's like you got a power up.